Okay. All right, recording is starting. Welcome everyone to our April Lunch and Learn, which is how to engage your downtown business owners. We are excited that you all are here. This is a very important topic, and I'm really excited for Abby to kind of teach us through this today. If you don't know, Abby was a local director at a couple different Main Street communities, and so she has been in your positions before where you're having to deal with all different kinds of business owners for good and for bad sometimes. But that being said, I will pass it off to her. I first just want to go through some normal housekeeping rules. You do have access to your video and microphone. You're welcome to use either, but please be mindful that while Abby is presenting, to maybe keep your mic on mute just to make sure there's no background noise. And the other thing I wanted to make note of is that we are going to be doing a couple polls today. This is our first time kind of using the polls feature in Teams. So up at the top of your Teams meeting, there should be a button that says polls. And if you click on that and let it load for a second, it should bring up the questions that Abby will kind of talk you through. There's 4 different questions, but she'll prompt you when she wants you to answer each one. So let me know in the chat if you can't find the poll feature. And you can always, we can also always have you just answer in the chat too. That's always an option as well. So please let me know if you can't see the polls at the top, and that'd be great. In the meantime, I'll go ahead and pass it off to Abby and have her get started.
Good morning, everybody. I am excited to be presenting on this topic. As Abby said, my name is Abby Huff. I am the Indiana Main Street Senior Program Manager. And real quick, my background, as Abby said, I was a local director in a community of about 2,500 people and 150,000 people. So I have definitely been in those shoes of having to deal with business owners and not deal with them, but get to partner with them. So today we're going to talk about how to engage your downtown business owners. If you're kind of wondering where this fits within your organization, this is kind of under your economic vitality point or your business support point. So if you're wondering, okay, who should maybe watch this video later, it would be those committee members. So to start off with, we are going to first talk about communication and how to communicate with your business owners. We're going to talk about gaining trust with your business owners and then dealing with the BAVE. So if you've heard that acronym CAVE, Citizens Against Virtually Everything, there is also Businesses Against Virtually Everything. So we're going to talk a little bit about, as programs, how you should interact with them. So to start off with, you don't have a Main Street organization if you do not have business owners. Your businesses are what make up your Main Street. They are the superheroes of your downtown, of your Main Street district. A recent poll by Gallup said that 39% of small business owners surveyed work over 60 hours a week. So think about they're managing their jobs, their business, it's their livelihood. So they're trying to keep that going, and then they might have families, they might be volunteering in the community. So we always have to think about like they're the superheroes and we need to give them a little bit of grace. So when we're going through this presentation, really think about like all the things your business owners do for your district. So we're going to start off with by how we need to talk or communicate between our Main Street organizations and our business owners. So here's where that first survey comes up. So when was the last time your organization conducted a business survey? Did they do it in the last 12 months? Maybe it was the last 1 to 2 years, 3 to 4 years, 5+ years, or your organization has never conducted a business survey. So If you have access to the poll, go ahead and answer that first question. Or you can put it in the chat if you don't have access to the poll. And we'll give you just about a minute to do that. Looks like we had a question about what do I mean by business survey? So a business survey is you've taken the time to go in and get information about from your business owners about background, about who they are as a business. It's more than just, a general information question. It is kind of a more in-depth survey. All right, just a couple more seconds. Okay, so it looks like a lot of people have answered that they have done a business survey within the last 12 months, which is great to hear. We do have a couple of people who have said never, so hopefully this gets you kind of motivated to go out and take that business survey. So a business survey is really to gain information. You should do a business survey every other year, or when a new business comes into the district. In those odd years, you should check in with the business to make sure that all the information from a year ago is still current. So you really want to have all the most up-to-date information that they have. So let's talk a little bit about what should be included in a business survey. So the first thing, of course, is your business name, and is the business owner's name or the name of the business. So and when we say that, we also mean the name they're doing business as. So a lot of businesses created an LLC or created their name prior to opening their business. And so maybe when they open their business, they change the name. So you want their kind of their legalese name, but also the name that they go by. You want the owners' names. So if it's just one owner, get their name. But if they have multiple owners, make sure you have that name as well, all those names as well. You want the business address. And then you want their open date, and you want that open date as specific as they can give you. Why? Because this is a great tool to, again, help build communication, because on their anniversary, you can send out, congratulations, you've been in business for 5 years, or congratulations, you made it to 1 year. Business owners making it to 1 year sometimes is really an accomplishment. You want to know what type of business they are, their business hours, the owner's email and the owner's phone, but also the business phone. And then Main Street America now wants us to collect the diversity. And what they mean by that is this business veteran owned? Is it minority owned? Or is it women owned? So you're going to want to get that information as well. Next, you're going to want to get the employee information. So how many total employees does that business have? Of that number, how many are full-time and how many are part-time? You're going to want to know if they've hired in the last 6 months so that you can keep track of that data. If they've downsized in the last 6 months, and then if they plan to expand their workforce in the next year. And knowing if they plan to expand workforce will help you know when you need to check back in with them. If you kind of have that on your radar, you will know, hey, maybe they could use some assistance with what does a new hire look like, what kind of things do they need to know about new hire, and then how many new hires do they have. This is about the more about business information. So, do they own or lease their property? If they rent, do they know the landlord's name and contact information? And would they be willing to share that with you? In the last year, have they expanded their products or services? In the past year, have they pulled products or services? And kind of ask why and what those products are as well. And then what percentage of sales come from inside the state and which percentage of raw materials, products, supplies, or other input come from inside the state? This is a great statistic to collect. So then you can help promote that. So you can say, on average, businesses in our Main Street district serve 70% of Hoosiers, or their customers are 70% Hoosiers. Or you can say, if you're looking at promoting tourism, you can say, we have 50% of sales come from tourism, or having those statistics that you can share with your business owners really helps them. Then kind of ask about the business future. So, do they have plans to remodel or expand their current location? Do they have plans to move locations? And if so, where? Because that always helps you get know, like, hey, yeah, we want to move into a bigger space. You want to make sure you're keeping them in your Main Street district. So you put that on your radar of, hey, maybe we'll have a space, but what they're looking for will be coming up. So I can continue to communicate with them so they don't move out of the district or move to a neighboring Main Street district. And then knowing if they sell their products or services online is also very helpful. So you can help promote those online sales. And then this last part is about business assistance. This helps you guys know what kind of technical assistance you need to put together for businesses. So you want to know, where do you feel that they need the most help with their business? How do they where do you feel your business is strongest? What, if any, business resources have you used and did they find them helpful? So this is really aiming at like, hey, have you guys done some workshops that have they been helpful? Have they communicated with maybe the local SBDC office? Have they done some maybe online trainings, that kind of thing? So you really know where to target your technical assistance. How can your organization help them? And then what local issues would they like to see resolved in the next 6 months? And this last question is really so that you can be that communicator, maybe with the city, if there's a city issue, or even if there is other issues going on, you can kind of help connect people where they need to go. All right, so we're going into our second poll question. So for you guys that have done a business survey, how did you distribute that survey? Did you do it through email, snail mail? Did you hand deliver it? Or maybe there was an other kind of way you delivered it? And if you select that other, maybe put in the chat what other ways you've helped get that out. We'll give you about a minute to answer those questions.
I did put the poll question in the chat as well for those who can't find the poll. I think you have to scroll up a little bit in the chat to find the actual poll, and then scroll to question number 2. But again, if it's not working for you guys, you can feel free to answer in the chat.
All right, give about just a few more seconds. All right. So of those that took the poll, the biggest one was email, and there were a couple others. A lot of people said they both emailed and maybe did newsletter, hand delivered, social media posts, email followed up by hand delivery, QR codes at festivals, email and social media. All these are great. Love to see it. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to distribute those surveys. Um, so I've kind of done what I like to call the three-step approach. So the first one is that passive. So you email it out to your businesses, to the emails that you have. You hope and pray that they get back to you. But that sometimes doesn't always work. They're getting a lot of emails a day. Again, thinking about some of them are working over 60 hours a week. Maybe they're not checking their email. So the second step is what I like to refer to as active, and this is your economic vitality team or committee hand delivering those printed out surveys with a QR code and leaves it with the business or leaves it with whoever's working in the business at that time, with just a reminder, hey, we really need this information. We want to help you out. Don't forget to do this. And always as well leave a by date. So, hey, if you can get this filled out by next Friday, that would be great. So then next Friday comes and you still have businesses that have not answered the survey. And the goal is 100%. You want 100% of your businesses taking part in this survey. So step 3 is what I like to call aggressive. So this is your economic vitality committee going back out and asking those questions of the business owners. So they're standing there with their clipboards and they're asking those questions. Step 3 should be done with somebody who has a relationship with that business owner. It's really hard for businesses to give things like where they need help with, to be vulnerable when they don't know the person who's asking. So it really is about having that relationship. Also, remember to schedule those visits not during peak business hours. So don't stop into a restaurant before 2 p.m. They're in the middle of prepping for lunch, they're serving lunch, things are crazy. They do not have time to stand with you and talk about their business. And same thing with a retailer. Don't stop in on a Friday or Saturday. Those are their busiest days, and they have no time to stop and chat with you. So once you've collected all that information, this will help you kind of approach how you want to communicate with your business. So again, think about that first slide about the business owner working 60 plus hours a week. And also the other thing noticed with the last slide and this slide is this should not just be a director or staff thing. This should be your economic vitality committee getting involved as well. So when you're communicating with your business, we're going to again go to those 3 steps. So the first one is passive. Email that need to know information out. And notice how I've bolded and italicized need to know. You're sending emails, they're getting a lot of emails all the time. They don't want to see 20 emails from you a week. They want just what they need to know as business owners. Step 2 is that active. So again, your economic vitality committee or team is hand delivering a 1-sheet printout to the businesses with, again, that need to know information. So maybe you guys are doing a shop hop. Maybe there's been some local burglaries, and this is information that they need to know. Maybe road closures coming. That's what gets included in that. And then step 3 is that aggressive. The Economic Vitality Committee goes back out and does a reminder to those business owners. Again, just about the need to know information. So that's kind of how you start building communication with your business owners. So they're going to start seeing you, they're going to start hearing from you. They're going to know, hey, this is somebody who's really trying to help me, because you're regularly communicating with them. So that next thing is gaining trust. It's not overnight, you know. I had business owners I worked with for years, and it wasn't until right before I left my job that then I had business owners starting to communicate with me. I had businesses reaching out to me saying, oh, you know, when I announced I was leaving, they were reaching out and saying, oh, you know, we're going to miss you. You did such great things. And I never had, like, they'd never talked to me in 2 years. Like, they would see me, they would see our businesses, but it was never like warm and fuzzy. So gaining trust takes a while. So the first thing you want to do is your business visits. So business visits can be done in 2 categories. So there's the check-in. So this is a pop-in visit where you just want to know how things are going. Do they need anything? Do they just want to talk? You are letting them know that you are there for support. The other one is assistance. So this is a scheduled one-on-one time with the business owners to assist with specific tasks. So maybe they are a business owner that's not quite comfortable with social media, but they really want to get involved with social media. You're going to set up some one-on-one time with them to maybe do some social media trainings, or you know, maybe they just have some general questions about like bookkeeping or banking. You're going to find an expert and connect them with that expert. Notice that these visits are in no way asking for money or support from the business to your organization. Business visits are literally you giving them support. They are not the business supporting you. So this is the other thing that I really want to stress, is that the person who's going in for these business visits, or the committee that's going on in for this business visits, is not the same person who is going asking for money. Because when they see this person walk through the door, they want to say, hey, you know, so-and-so is coming in. They're coming in to support me. They're not coming in to ask for money. You don't want them to associate you with, oh, the only time I ever see them is when they need money from me. You really want to show their support, that you're there to support. When I was a director, my businesses knew that if I stopped in with my notebook, I was there to check in. And if I came in with my purse, I was there to shop, because as we all know, as you as local directors know, we do a lot of shopping inside our district. But you know, if I came in with my purse on to shop, I was still okay with them asking me questions. You could kind of always on when you're in your district. I built such a great relationship with those business owners that if I came in with my notebook and they didn't have time for me, and they were like, Abby, I don't have time for you, I cannot talk to you right now, I was okay with that. And I just told them, cool, I'll catch you next time, or feel free to call me, email me if you need anything. Great seeing you. So that does bring us then to our third poll. So on average, how many hours a week does your organization do business visits? 4 to 5 hours a week, 2 to 3 hours a week, 1 hour or less a week. You currently don't do any business hour visits, or 5+ hours a week. And remember that definition of business visits is this: a pop-in or assistance. It's not going in to ask for anything. It's specifically looking at what your organization is doing for them. So I'll give you about a minute to answer that.
While people are answering, Abby, I know Jennifer asked in the chat, how do you decide which level of communication you use? I think that was referring to the slide a few slides back.
So you want to do all levels. um, start with the email. You will get your business owners that, will respond to your email. They're on top of it. Then the next step. So kind of think of it as a ladder. So your next step then is that um, you're hand delivering something, either the survey or the news. So that's your second step. And you'll get, when you're delivering those, you'll get businesses that say, oh, I don't need that. I already saw the email. And then your third step is you're going in and you're making sure you're actually talking to somebody. And again, you'll get that, oh, I already know about it, but thanks. All right. Okay, it looks like we're getting some information about maybe you're not currently doing business hours or you're doing 1 hour or less a week. Um, Gearing up for some business meetings, 1 hour or less a week. Couple hours. Let me go to the poll real quick. All right, so a lot of people are saying 1 hour or less a week, or maybe 2 to 3 hours. Um, Ideal street time, so this is the time you're visiting businesses, is 4 to 5 hours a week. Block it out on your calendar. Make sure that you are being very specific about the time you are visiting businesses. And I know you guys have a lot going on, but this should be very important. Building that relationship is extremely important because, again, we're going back to that first slide. Without your businesses, there is no Main Street organization. So sometimes you might go in and have specific questions you want to ask them, or sometimes you might just be stopping in, doing a quick, hey, how's it going? Got some time to chat? Let's talk a little about how things are, and let's just check in. And at first you will have businesses that say, it's fine, whatever. But again, as you start building that relationship, you will see and hear more things from your businesses. The other thing is, during these business hours or business visits, you want to be very specific. What you talk about with those business owners does not get out into the community. Make sure you're telling your business owners that, because they don't want to tell you something and then 2 weeks later they're hearing it in the rumor mill. That would be the first thing to squash them ever wanting to talk to you. So be very specific. Hey, let's have a chat, just you and me. It's not going to go anywhere. I'm not going to talk to anybody about it. But if you've got something that you need to chat about, it can get, when you start building these relationships, they can get very intimate. They could say, hey, my sales have been down this quarter, and if I don't find a way to make them up, I might have to close. So that that that's going on, so that you can start looking at, okay, how can we support this business, because we don't want them to close. So really make sure every week, it's not just your director, it's not just your staff, it's also your economic vitality committee, is planning out 4 to 5 hours a week. All right, so we've done business visits, you've gained you started gaining trust with them, you've kind of figured out how to communicate. So what are some other ways you can support your businesses? So this again is creating that connection between you as the Main Street organization and the businesses, but also creating this connection between your businesses. Jane, who owns a women's clothing store, who's been in business for 10 years, can be a great connection for Mary, who has just opened another women's clothing store and maybe needs some mentorship. And so you create those connections. And you should really emphasize with your businesses that if you have two women's clothing stores opening, they aren't in competition. They're actually here to help each other. I had a great business owner who she ran a women's clothing store, and actually was really excited when she had two other women's clothing stores move in beside her, one on each side. So it was like three women's clothing stores in a row, because she's like, I know if they're not going to find something that they want in there, they're going to come here, and vice versa. We're kind of building off each other. It's kind of the same philosophy as when you see car dealerships all opened in a row. So that's really how you should communicate with your businesses. When if they come to you and they're afraid that, hey, maybe a competing business is opening, it's talk to them about, it's not competition, it's actually partnership, and how you can work off of each other. So some things you can do is a business after hours or coffee. So this is a networking opportunity for your businesses. It's casual, it's fun. I know a lot of you have maybe started doing some of these. I see it around. It's just networking and getting to know each other in a relaxed environment. The next thing is technical assistance seminars. So this is, again, taking your survey data and looking at where those businesses needed help and creating actual space for them to get that. So connecting them maybe with the local banker or the local social media guru or marketing guru, and doing a workshop with them. And make sure that when you schedule these, they're done so a majority of businesses can attend. So a great time would be, hey, most of our businesses are closed on Monday. Let's do it on Monday. Looking at, again, where majority of your businesses can attend. The next one is maybe specifically for your retailers. It's a retail chat. This is a specific time for retailers to network with each other. It gives them some space to, as we like to say, the airing of grievances, asking each other for advice, and again, creating relationships with each other and connecting to each other. And then those Facebook groups. So creating a space for businesses to share information. I actually, when I started at my second director job, there had been a series of break-ins happening, and businesses were it was kind of getting back and forth, and they were maybe, hey, somebody broke in, but they didn't steal anything, or they broke a window, or there was vandalism. It just gives your business owners a chance to share information with each other. Also ask each other, hey, my delivery company, my food delivery company has not been really reliable. Does somebody else have some information? So it really is creating those connections, and Main Streets are great at creating connections. All right, so we've talked about communicating with businesses, supporting businesses, and gaining trust. So let's get to that dealing with those businesses against virtually everything. So here's our last poll question. Have you ever had to deal with a difficult business owner? Yes or no? I'll give you a few minutes to answer that. You can answer it in the chat or the poll. I see a lot of yeses coming in. Just once or twice, that's it. Yeah. Let's look at the poll. Yeah, 100% of people have taken the poll said, yes, they've had to deal with difficult business owners. All right, so let's get into this. All right, so now that I have you all thinking about your difficult business owners and got you a little worked up about it, because I know you all are, Let's take a deep breath. In, out. Okay, let's do it one more time because we know that we're still worked up. In, out. All right. So the first thing you have to acknowledge is that people are never going to be 100% happy with what you do. It's just a fact. You're always going to have somebody who is upset with what's happening. So, step 2, when dealing with a business against virtually everything, distance yourself from the issues. A great way is to set limits and to ask the business how they would like to assist in fixing the problem. You can get really emotionally tied to it, and you really need to take a step back. Establish some boundaries, but you have to make sure you're doing this proactively and consciously. If you let things happen naturally, your emotions are going to get tied into it. And we all are very emotional people. We wouldn't be in these positions if we weren't, because we're doing it for the passion. So make sure you're setting some boundaries and decide where you'll engage in difficult people and how much you can control in that chaos. Step 2 or step 3, when it comes to toxic people, fixating on how difficult they are gives them power over you. Quit thinking about how troubling your difficult person is and focus instead on how you're going to handle them. And again, sometimes you need to set some hard limits. Mine was when I had a business owner yelling at me in my face because I wanted to extend what we were going to do for Shop Small Saturday. And that's a whole nother story for another time. But it really was me then saying, all right, I have somebody yelling at me. Emotionally, I cannot handle that. So we're going to just pull back, and I'm going to have to stop interacting face to face with them. Step 4, continue that passive communication so that they know what is still going on. They aren't feeling ignored. Keep them on your email list. And if you do flyers or posters, make sure they're still getting this. You really still want to make sure they're involved in your district. And as an organization, as an overall organization, you still want them to be a part of things. So step 5 is be all right with not being the person who communicates with that business owner. If they have an issue, if you're the director or you're one of your or a staff person or one of the ED committee, and you have emotional ties with them that are not positive, see if there's somebody else. Sometimes personalities just don't mesh. There may be somebody else in your organization, another staff member, a board member, or a volunteer that maybe can personally connect with them better. And be okay, and it is okay to ask for help. You know, if you have that difficult business owner, ask somebody else to take it on for you, or ask somebody else to communicate with them. And we all do it. We get into this kind of, we're going to complain, we're going to talk about how difficult this person is. And it's fine to air your grievances, but you still want to make sure they're involved, still want to make sure somebody is communicating with them. You never want to exclude them, because that's just going to make them more angry. It's going to give them more of a chip on their shoulder. So really kind of look at who else can be that communicator. And because I'm a nerd, I'm going to end with this. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. So think about the energy you are spending on this one person. That time is keeping you away from focusing on the businesses that really need your assistance. You have the one loud person who's outweighing the 20 soft people who actually really love what you're doing. But sometimes it's hard for people to be positive about, hey, you guys are doing a great job, and telling you you're doing a great job, because you've got this one voice that is being louder than everybody, is screaming at you, is complaining about to you, to the city. And you really have to sometimes say, you know what, we're going to step aside from what you're doing, and we're really going to focus on the greater good. So with that, I want to thank you all for listening. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. If you have any stories about dealing with difficult people and how you've overcome that, we would love to hear it. So feel free to share.
Any questions or things that, and as always, we'll have this recording up on our YouTube page. I'll post it, email it out, and then also we can get the actual PowerPoint, because I know several of you said that maybe needed specifically that survey information, and also just some of the helpful tools for when you're out visiting. So definitely this is something that you can reference back to. And Abby said this earlier, but I think that this is a training that if you have people on your EV committee or whoever is also doing some of those business visits with you, that they should sit down and watch this if possible, or go through the slides. But I think it can be really valuable to equip them with some of this knowledge as well. But any questions or thoughts or?
Hey, Abby, it's Brandy in Shelbyville.
Yeah. Hello.
It was just kind of hitting to the heart, I guess, because we had a after hours, our Main Street Mixer business series. And I've kind of come up with a little formula that finally works for us. So I don't know if it will help anybody else. That after, many years of trying to do morning, evening, lunchtime, and we've tried all kinds of things. We have figured they like the 6 to 7 right after they close their doors, and then can stop by and then go home. We try to keep it at an hour to an hour and 15. I always provide snacks because it's just bribery at 6 o'clock. So we have like a fruit tray spread and some brownies and things made from a local caterer. But the one thing that we have figured out that is working really well is short and to the point, but some type of information or education. So I really quick did like the biggest Cliff Note versions of our grant programs, because some people forget what we have and how much they're worth. And then our events coordinator came in and hit them with all the events, the dates, and how the doors are wide open for them to participate and what opportunities they could take care of. And then I opened it up to the floor to them, because I make them get some buy-in and make them feel like it's their meeting. And then I kind of polled them real quickly on what their businesses are needing, and they're begging me for QuickBooks help. So I have already reached out to an accountant asking for a QuickBooks 101. We're currently doing ours like quarterly, every 2 to 3 months. They didn't want monthly, and I didn't want monthly, to be quite honest. But so I'm trying to do what they've requested. I'm reaching out to the financial world and see if we can get a QuickBooks 101, and then so we get some kind of information, and then I open the floor real quickly and let them talk about or ask about anything they want. And so far, that little bit of knowledge or training plus social and let them have feedback has worked, and we're going to keep going on until I guess it doesn't. But it's just ironic that this is what we're talking about today, and we just got out of ours last night.
Yeah, I love that. That's really helpful. Thank you. Oh, go ahead, Abby.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, that's great information. And you know, everybody still listening, take a little word of advice, because it's great when you also have something in those after hours, a specific reason for people to stop by.
Looks like we had a question in the chat. Any suggestions on working with business owners to gain support for or compliance with local historic district regulations?
So, Laura, again, look at who you have doing this. And this really should kind of sit under your design committee. Design should, historic preservation and historic districts should fall under what your design committee is working on. So, first of all, make sure that's a complete different group of people. You might have some crossover, because again, you want to make sure you have somebody who's giving that information who they can trust. But it is, again, going in, talking one-on-one with these business owners about what that means, what compliance means, how to support a historic district. I know we've got a number of directors here on the call who've gone through this recently. But it's taking those kind of talking points. It's not, a lot of people hear historic preservation and think it's property regulation, and it's really getting that message out that it is helping your community. Historic preservation, historic districts are keeping that historic character alive for your community. It's keeping your historic buildings preserved and doing restoration work on them. It really is kind of, that talking point should be, it's a community thing, and getting involved in the community and being part of the community.
I know too. I was just in Greensburg the past couple days, and they were talking about how they were going to start kind of creating a nice, like easy to read kind of guidebook on like these historic preservation, some guidance for their local community, also like what grants they offer, just as a reminder to business and property owners, just on kind of all the, and but making it very easy, like easy to read, quick to reference. So I thought that was a really good idea too. Something that either your EV or your EV and design committee could work on, is kind of a quick, easy guide to make it simple for them, but also give them the resources they need, or where they need to reach out to get certain resources, um, and just making it, yeah, accessible. So any other questions or thoughts or? Okay. Well, then we will plan to wrap up. Thank you, Abby, and thanks for everyone who participated. We're still getting used to some of the Teams functions. So for the poll thing, thank you for kind of being flexible with that. But it's helpful to kind of be able to chat with you guys throughout the presentation. Again, like I said, I will get this all on YouTube and get the presentation slides out to you. But always feel free to reach out if you guys have any questions. So have a good day, and we will talk to you soon.